Addiction Explained. Mental versus physical, and how to break the cycle. Let's talk about addiction. Not the TV or Hollywood version. Not the shame version. The real one. Because addiction is not one thing. And treating every addiction the same is one of the biggest reasons people fail to quit. Some addictions live in the body. Some live in the brain. Some live in your habits, triggers, stress, and environment. And the way out depends on which one you are dealing with. So today we are breaking down what addiction really is, the difference between physical and mental addictions, and how tools like meditation, journaling, and awareness exercises can literally rewire your brain. And I need to say this clearly right up front. If you are dealing with opioid addiction or alcohol addiction, you must involve a doctor. That is not weakness. That is survival. Now let's break this down. What addiction really is at its core. Addiction is not about pleasure. It is about relief. Relief from stress. Relief from boredom. Relief from pain. Relief from emotion. Your brain learns very fast. It learns that a substance or behavior reduces discomfort. Then it builds a loop. Cue, craving, action, relief. Over time, that loop becomes automatic. And here's the key point. There are two major categories of addiction: physical addiction and psychological addiction. They overlap, but they are not the same. Physical addiction and withdrawal. Physical addiction means your body adapts to a substance. Your nervous system, hormones, and chemistry change. This is where withdrawal becomes dangerous. Let's be clear. Heroin and opioids have some of the most brutal withdrawals known. Extreme pain, vomiting, diarrhea, anxiety, insomnia. Your body feels like it is on fire. People do not relapse because they're weak. They relapse because their body is screaming. Alcohol withdrawal can be even more dangerous. Seizures, hallucinations, delirium, tremens. This can be fatal. That is why anyone quitting alcohol or opioids should do so with medical supervision. Doctors can taper, prescribe medication, and keep you safe. No meditation technique replaces medical detox in these cases. Anyone who says otherwise is lying or ignorant. Cigarettes and nicotine also have a physical component. Nicotine withdrawal causes irritability, anxiety, and cravings. But it is usually not life-threatening. Still uncomfortable. Still real. But very different from alcohol or opioids. Mental and behavioral addictions. Now let's talk about purely psychological addictions. This includes things like gambling, lottery, porn, compulsive scrolling, video games, shopping. These do not create dangerous physical withdrawal, but they create something else. Dopamine and cortisol loops. Gambling and lottery are the perfect example. You get anticipation. Your heart rate increases. Your brain releases dopamine. Then uncertainty hits. Loss hits. Stress hits. Cortisol rises. Your brain wants relief from the stress it just created. So it goes right back to the behavior. This is not pleasure. This is stress chasing relief. And this is where meditation and journaling become extremely powerful. How meditation helps addiction. Meditation does not magically remove cravings. What it does is slow the loop down. When you meditate, you train one skill above all others. Awareness before reaction. You start to notice the urge before it controls you. You feel the craving in the body, chest, jaw, stomach. You realize this is a sensation, not a command. Meditation lowers baseline cortisol. It calms the nervous system. It strengthens the prefrontal cortex. That is the part of the brain responsible for choice. Over time, the gap between urge and action grows. That gap is freedom. How journaling rewires the loop. Journaling attacks addiction from a different angle. It brings the subconscious into the conscious. When you journal, you start to see patterns. What time do cravings hit? What emotions are present? What situations trigger relapse? You begin to separate the feeling from the behavior. Instead of saying, I need this. You start saying, I feel anxious, I feel bored, I feel lonely. That language shift is massive. Because once you name the emotion, you can address it directly. Addiction thrives in fog. Journaling brings clarity. Other powerful exercises, other tools that help breath work to calm the nervous system, cold exposure to reset stress tolerance, physical movement to burn off cortisol, replacing habits. Instead of just removing them, you do not just quit something. You replace the regulation strategy. Here is the truth. If your addiction has a strong physical component, alcohol, opioids, benzos, get medical help. Period. If your addiction is psychological, gambling, lottery, compulsive behaviors, meditation, journaling, awareness, training, and structured habit replacement can change your life. Addiction is not a moral failure. It is a nervous system that learned the wrong solution. And anything learned can be unlearned and rewritten. That is what Boom Dopamine Shift is about. Not shame, not white knuckling, but retraining the brain. Boom.